Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Tina Cusker and I'm Montana's Mountain Maven. And I wanted to just do a quick little video today. Originally, I was going to make a manna from heaven, a low-carb bread, only to discover I'm short an egg. So we're going to do something a little bit different today and save the manna from heaven bread for tomorrow. Okay, so plan B. Instead of the manna from heaven bread, we're going to make the beet and goat cheese salad. So I've tucked my hair up a little bit, it's gotten my ingredients together, and I'm going to give you a look at what we've got here. So we have spiralized beets. These are raw, just purchased from the grocery store in the produce aisle. So these are all ready to go. We have some leftover goat cheese, so I need 1/4 cup for this recipe. I have a couple different types here that I'm just going to incorporate into this salad and use up what I have in the fridge. This one is farmstead goat cheese and organic goat cheese that's roasted garlic and chive. And this one, I have no idea. It's a part of a roll, and I'm going to guess that this is probably a little bit more of garlic and herb because that tends to be my go-to. Okay, we've got honey white balsamic vinegar. We have Olivelli caramelized garlic olive oil. So this is really my go-to olive oil. I get all my olive oils from Olivelli. They are produced here in the state of Montana, and we have a local shop here in Bozeman. But caramelized garlic is my absolute favorite. It's not overwhelming for flavor or scent, and yet it's so much more than just basic olive oil. Salt and pepper, an Italian seasoning. We've got spinach, and we've got roasted pecans. Now, I get my pecans from Priester's Pecans. I order these online. They have a catalog that they send as well. But Priester's, you can get it in small pecan pieces, whole pecans, half pecans, roasted, seasoned, sweet, wrapped in chocolate and caramel, the best kind, right? All of that kind of thing. So, excuse me, not Georgia, Alabama. I lived in both states, but yeah, come from the South. So check those out if you are a lover of pecan. They're pretty much the only nut that I really cook with, whether it be salads or even baked goods. I'm not a big fan of walnuts. This particular recipe actually calls for pine nuts. I don't happen to have any, so substituting pecans works great for me, if it does for you as well. So let's get started. I have preheated the oven to 450 degrees. I have my baking sheet with some parchment here on top, and I've got a cutting board on the side just to let you know. Also, I have a favorite knife. This is made by Rada. They are manufactured here in the United States. And I actually have 3 of these chef's knives, and I keep a knife sharpener handy. And even though I have probably a dozen other knives, these are my #1 go-to, especially when it comes to chopping, dicing, mincing, anything like that. So just to give you an idea of the supplies that I have on hand, let's go ahead and get started. My beets are ready to go. They're all washed and ready. So since I didn't have to spiralize them, I'm going to skip that in the instructions. And I'm going to toss them here on the baking sheet. Spread them out here just a little bit. Got some that looks like they didn't get spiralized all that amazingly, so I'm going to actually toss them aside. I love beets. Growing up, my dad used to love pickled beets and just beets of any kind. My grandmother always grew them in the garden, and I didn't have the time of day for them. I thought they were yucky, purpley, gross little vegetables. And now, as an adult, I just love them. I love them on salads. I love them pickled, plain, roasted. Just last night, my husband and I were out for dinner, and the salad that we had was a roasted beet and goat cheese salad. So maybe the inspiration for why I selected this particular recipe for this week. So I've spread them around a little bit. All right, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So you could absolutely use just a plain olive oil. Any olive oil that you have on hand is perfectly fine. Again, I'm going to go for my Olivelli caramelized. And I'm not very good at following directions for ingredients, especially when I'm cooking something like this. So it says 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to drizzle over the top. I guarantee you that was more than 2 tablespoons. And a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. So I'm going to pop this sprinkle top off. There we go. And mix this up a little bit. It does seem to settle, and it's a mixed seasoning, so I want to make sure I get a nice mixture of it. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top. Okay, now if I had chunks or something like this, I'd be using a Ziploc bag, a gallon Ziploc bag, or a large bowl or something like that, and I'd really be tossing it. I don't think I'm going to actually do that today, just because these spiralized noodles they're kind of difficult to stir. So I think I did a pretty good job just sprinkling all over. I've got a reasonable amount of olive oil there, and I think I'm good to go. And a bit of salt and pepper, so can't forget that. I've got my salt right here. My trusty Tupperware containers have served me well for well, I've been married 30 years, but I don't think I've had these 30 years, probably about 20 years. But I love them because it's large quantities. I don't have to fill them up too frequently. They've got a nice pour spout on one side that works with all my measuring spoons, or a sprinkle side as I'm using now, so it works really well. So they're all spread out evenly, and because I put them on parchment paper, there was no need to spray the pan, but certainly if you choose not to use parchment, make sure that you do that so that they don't stick too bad. And I'm going to bake them in the oven for 10 minutes, and I'll see you when they're done. All right, so our beets have cooked thoroughly. About 10 minutes is all, and let's see how well you can see them here. They're a little bit toastier on many of the edges. You can tell that the olive oil has really seeped into the beet. I did try one, just soft enough to enjoy, not overly tender. Okay, I also crumbled up the goat cheese a little bit in a bowl, so that's all ready to go. I have 1/4 cup of toasted pecans here, and I've diced up some spinach. Technically, according to the recipe, I have too much spinach, but I'm thinking you can't have too much spinach in this salad. All right, so we're going to compile it. So I have a bowl. Look at those big, long strings of beets. Aren't they beautiful? My goodness. Really wonderful. Okay, my beets are all in there. I'm going to add my spinach. And here I've pre-mixed the olive oil and vinegar. Remember, that was the white balsamic vinegar. I'm going to toss that on there. Make sure you really do a good job whisking your oil and vinegar together to really incorporate it before you put it together. I'm just going to toss it around a little bit. Now, you don't want to do this immediately when the beets come out of the oven. You do want to let them sit for a couple minutes and really cool off, because I'm going to be adding goat cheese to our salad, and I don't want it to completely melt the cheese as soon as it's added to the bowl. Okay, so we've got our spinach, our olive oil and vinegar all mixed in with our beets. Add your goat cheese. And lightly toss a little bit more. You might find that actually using either tongs or a couple of forks. A lot of times I toss a salad with 2 forks. In fact, I might need to go grab a couple of forks right now because my goat cheese is sticking. So incorporate it a little bit like that. Mix it in. All right, and this is basically finished now. Super easy salad, incredibly colorful as you can tell here. A couple more chunks of goat cheese on top here. And then I'm going to sprinkle my pecans on top, and it can refrigerate until I'm ready to serve it. I might even mix that in a little bit. Spread them around. All right, there is my beautiful beet and goat cheese salad. So hope you enjoy it.